You may think soap is soap. What's the difference? But there's a big one, and it may be ruining your dating.
Hi, Mystery Recapped here. Today, I'm going to explain a period epic film called Mongol, The Rise of Genghis Khan. Spoilers ahead. Out, and take care. The premise of the movie is set in the year 1172. The current northwestern Chinese provinces used to be called the Tangut Kingdom, ruled by the dynasty of the same name. There lived several Mongolian tribes, led by their respective leaders, called the Khans. The rivalry between the tribes and the hunger for power within them caused several arguments, battles, and deaths. There are no rules in the world of Mongols, and it is in desperate need of a supreme Khan to lead and unite the people. Yesugai is the Khan of a small tribe in the west. At the beginning of the film, he is traveling with his men and 9-year-old son, Temujin, to look for a wife for the kid. At night, they stop at a friend's tribe to take a rest. Temujin is busy tending to his horse when a girl named Bort approaches him and asks him his name. Temujin introduces himself and tells her the purpose of the trip. On finding out he is looking for a bride, Bort confidently claims that he should marry her. Temujin's father wants to bring home a bride from a stronger tribe for politics, but upon his son's repeated request, Yesugai allows him to choose someone from the friend's tribe instead. Before choosing the girl, Temujin is asked to look for one with strong legs, because only a girl with strong legs can keep her man happy. Temujin does as told, and chooses Bort. Their marriage is officiated, but they can only be together after 5 years. Before leaving, Temujin promises to return soon, and gives Bort a necklace as a gift to remember him. On the way back to their village, Yesugai and the men take a rest near an inn. They are cautious because a few yards away sits the leader of a rival tribe with his men. Suddenly, the rival Khan sends his men with a bowl of milk as a sign of peace. To return the gesture, Yesugai also sends back a bowl of juice. Yesugai's right-hand man suggests that he let the servant drink the milk first, since they cannot trust their enemies. But Yesugai doesn't want to lose the opportunity to make peace because of suspicion. He drinks the bowl clean, and so does the other Khan. A while later, they continue the journey, but a few minutes in, Yesugai's chest starts to hurt. He falls off the horse and dies. It is clear that the opponents took advantage of his kindness and poisoned him. Poor Temujin goes to his father, but his followers could not care less. It is a tradition for the people to only follow a strong leader. Now that their leader is dead, their main concern is to find a new Khan, not to avenge the old one. In the following scene, Temujin and his mother attend Yesugai's funeral. Yesugai owned a lot of cattle and houses, which are taken over by his right-hand man, Targutai. Temujin's mother curses him and claims that her son will kill him one day. Targutai realizes it is true and makes it his mission to kill Temujin. However, they measure his height, which doesn't reach the upper part of the wheel of a cart. According to the traditions, Mongols do not kill a child, which is why Temujin's life is saved. But Targutai promises to return next winter, when Temujin's height will have increased. When winter comes around, Temujin has no place to hide. He remembers his father telling him about God Tengri, who will help him in his time of need. Hence, he goes to the sacred mountain to visit the holy place, but on the way, he accidentally falls into a frozen lake and almost dies. He is rescued by a boy his age named Jamuka. He and his younger brother bring Temujin to their home and give him food. Temujin is grateful to the brothers for saving his life. He offers to be Jamuka's brother by blood. They mix their blood in a bowl of milk and drink it to prove their allegiance to each other. MGK and Megan Fox aren't crazy after all. The following morning, they are confronted by Targutai and his people, who are still looking for Temujin to kill him. They abduct him and take him back to the tribe. But fortunately for Temujin, his height hasn't grown much since the last time, so he has to be held captive until he grows. A kind old man feeds him every day and helps him with his injuries. A few days later, they measure his height again, but it still hasn't gone up. Suddenly, it starts to rain, and everyone goes inside their houses. The old man takes this opportunity to free Temujin. The kid runs for as long as he can, with the wooden plane still stuck around his neck. He goes to the mountains and prays to God Tengri for help. Temujin then sees a white wolf beside the monument of God, and seconds later, the wooden plane is miraculously broken. The scene changes to 1186. Temujin has grown up into an adult, but is still on the run from Targatai and his people. After a years-long search, they are able to capture him and lock him in a similar wooden plane. This time, he has grown enough to match the height reference, so the chances of his survival are low. Targatai wants to see him beg for his life, but Temujin, being the proud man he is, refuses to do so. As a result, Targatai decides to torture him slowly, instead of killing him in an instant. The old man who helped Temujin years ago feeds him even now. He begs Temujin to spare his life when he returns to avenge the treatment he is getting. When it gets dark, Targatai comes to Temujin alone and mocks him. Since everyone is busy, Temujin takes the opportunity to attack the opponent and kills him by hitting him with the wooden plane repeatedly. After that, he flees from the village and is safe yet again. Temujin is ready to take his tribe back and become the Khan, but first, he has to bring his bride home. He goes to his in-laws' tribe for the first time since he was 9. Bort has grown up to become a strong and beautiful woman. But are those legs thick, though? She reveals that she has been waiting for him since she saw him the last time. Temujin receives a coat, dowry, and brings Bort with him. The two go to his mother and sister after several years. They are welcomed wholeheartedly by the family. For the next month, they live the life of their dreams. Temujin and Bort fall deeper in love as spouses, but trouble arises when one day they are attacked by the Merkit tribe. Long ago, Temujin's father kidnapped his mother from the Khan of Merkit. He had vowed to take revenge, and is here to steal Bort from Temujin. The couple tries running away, but Temujin is shot with an arrow, and Bort is kidnapped to become the wife of the rival Khan. When Temujin gets better, he knows he has to get his wife back, but he cannot do it alone. Hence, he goes to his old blood brother, Jamuka's place. Jamuka has grown up to become the Khan of a powerful tribe himself. He agrees to help, but only after a year, because he is busy with a task at hand. A year passes in the blink of an eye, and the two then set off with their troops to attack the Merkit tribe. They kill all of their men and rob the place before finding a pregnant Bort in one of the huts. She has killed a man whose dead body is lying beside her. Temujin immediately claims that the child is his and takes Bort back. At night, the troops celebrate the win. By now, Temujin has been able to gather a bunch of followers. They ask him to distribute the robbed cattle, and unlike most Khans, Temujin keeps only 10% for himself and gives the rest to his troops. He even offers more goods to the family of the men who died in battle. Two of Jamuka's people see this and decide to join Temujin's tribe. Since the Mongols are allowed to choose their own Khans, Jamuka can do nothing about it, but it is evident that he views this as a betrayal. In the following scene, Temujin's soldiers see a man trying to steal their horses. They chase him down and kill him by accident. It turns out that the thief was none other than Jamuka's younger brother.
The Chevy Silverado EV offering the exclusive space-creating multi-flex midgate.
After the incident, Jamuka makes it his mission to kill Temujin, forgetting that he is a brother by blood. He joins hands with another tribe and makes an attack on Temujin's tribe. Temujin knows that his people cannot win the battle because they are heavily outnumbered. Still, he sends the women and children away and makes the men fight with all their might. Even after killing several opponents, Temujin is caught in the end. Jamuka still calls him brother and urges him to beg for mercy. He doesn't want to kill someone who still has strength and pride left in himself. So instead, he makes him a slave and sells him to the brokers. Temujin and the remainder of his men are made to walk several miles across the desert to reach the city that is ruled by the Tangut dynasty. After that, they are kept in the open for people to check and buy as they please. A higher official from the dynasty comes to the market one day and shows interest in buying Temujin. His advisor Monk, however, sees Temujin and can tell he is not the ideal person to be enslaved. He doesn't even have thick legs. He thinks Temujin will be the end of the entire powerful dynasty. The buyer only laughs at the statement and buys Temujin nonetheless. He is then kept in a cage as a freak who people can see and make fun of. The monk visits him every day and begs for forgiveness. He makes a pact with Temujin that if he looks for Bort, Temujin will not destroy the monastery when the time comes. While on the search for Bort in the deserts, the monk falls unconscious and dies. Luckily, he is found by Bort, who recognizes the necklace he has as the one she owned for several years. She figures out her husband is still alive and goes to the city to look for him. Since Temujin is on full display to the people, she doesn't take long before finding him. The same night, she bribes a guard and helps Temujin flee. He is surprised to see that his son has grown a lot, and Bort now has a second daughter. She reluctantly had to be with another man to make ends meet and to feed her children. Temujin loves her even more for her sacrifices. He tells the little girl that he is her father. The family of 4 returns to their home in the countryside and lives there happily for a month. The kids love their father and play with him all the time. Then, one day, Bort comments that all Mongols are the same. They steal, rob, and kill. The comment is minute, but it makes a huge impression on Temujin. He decides to leave his family, to unify as many tribes as he can, and create rule in the world of Mongols, even if he has to kill half of the tribes to get there. The 3 basic rules they have to follow are: never kill women and children, fight the enemies till the end, and never betray your Khan. The scene cuts to 1196. As Temujin vowed, he has been able to gather an army of Mongols on his side, unifying 7 tribes and making a massive tribe of his own. The only obstacle in his way to becoming an absolute emperor is Jamuka, who also has an army of followers behind him. Today, the 2 brothers stand on the battlefield with their troops for the ultimate fight. It starts, and Jamuka hastily sends the first batch to fight. Temujin has planned the entire war, while Jamuka is spontaneous, which causes many of his men to be killed. After hours of long and hard battle, Temujin wins and captures the surviving enemy troops, including Jamuka. The troops are taken in as Temujin's followers instead of being killed. The gesture makes them thankful and loyal to their new Khan. The old man who once helped him escape is made the advisor of the tribe. Now, the only thing left to do is to make a judgment for Jamuka. The brother
So I've got my essay written, and I've been working on it for about a week. So now I'm going to show you how I use Grammarly to edit. Okay, so here's my essay.
Hi, Mystery Recapped here. Today, I am going to explain an American science fiction comedy film called Sleeper. Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. In the futuristic world of 2173, scientists find a pod in the middle of the woods that has a human inside of it. The current cruel government doesn't allow experiments outside its agenda, but a group of scientists decides to open the pod illegally. After taking off the aluminum foil from the person's face, they reveal a young man who has been in cryosleep for over 200 years. His name is Miles Monroe, a jazz musician and owner of a health food store in New York City in 1973. 200 years ago, he walked into a hospital for a routine operation, but it went horribly wrong and ended up with him being trapped inside a pod for 2 decades. Somehow, Miles is still wearing his glasses from years ago after the revival, but the doctors do not question it. He has difficulty standing, which is expected since he hasn't been on his feet for a long time. But he surprises the scientists by learning to walk backwards right after being revived. Since the government is strictly against opening the pod, if the guard catches them, they will be punished. In the new era, criminals are punished with a brain simplification process. They are put into a machine and turned into a vegetable. The scientist duo has to quickly get him out of the facility. However, with Miles eating gloves and walking around like a drunk man, it is a difficult task. The guards eventually find them, but the scientists make it seem like Miles is one of them to get out of the situation. The plan works, even though Miles does many questionable things in front of the guards. The scientists then get him inside the futuristic balloon-like vessel and bring him to their secret hideout. A few days later, Miles relearns to walk, converse, and eat, but he still doesn't know he's in the future. When the scientists relay the news to him, the man freaks out. Everyone he knows has been dead for over 100 years, but he is the most worried about his house rent, which has been due for 2,000 months. When Miles shows interest in returning home, he is told about the harsh world of 2173. A decade ago, the world was at a nuclear war that caused destruction mankind had never seen. Millions of people died and billions were injured. Cities and countries were destroyed, and a single government took over the entire world. What once used to be New York is now just an area between two new cities. The district they are in right now is the southwestern United States. The information is too much for Miles to take. The scientists understand this and ask him to take a 2-week rest until he fully recovers his strength. They will have to stay low, because if the government finds out about his existence, it won't end well for all three of them. Miles also finds out that an anti-government organization called the Underground is slowly making its way up to kill the dictator and restore peace in society. For the next few days, Miles stays at the headquarters, getting accustomed to the new world of technologies. The scientists use him to find out more about the people of the past and their way of life. One morning, while having breakfast with the scientists, he is introduced to science's most advanced invention, the servant robots. They are capable of communicating with humans, taking orders, and doing all household tasks at exponential speed. Miles will be taken to the Western Land in a few days. When he inquires why, it is revealed that the main reason he was revived is to be an asset to the Underground. He has to help them overthrow the government, since he is the only member of the dystopian society without a known biometric identity. Hence, he is untrackable by guards. Miles is not a fan of the idea, and insists that he is not the revolutionary type. However, he doesn't get a chance to protest, because seconds later, the hideout is surrounded by guards sent by the government. The scientists quickly ask Miles to go to the Western Land and take it upon themselves to stall the guards while he runs away. He gets on a chair chopper that is supposed to fly him, but instead, it hangs him from a tree. The guards use advanced technology to get to him, but in the end, Miles manages to lose them by hiding in the back of a van. It is filled with futuristic robots and their spare parts. When the guards check the van, he sits in a corner, disguised as one of the robots. The face paint doesn't do a good job to hide the fact that he is human, but the guards assume he is an ugly robot, which works in his favor. Eventually, he is delivered to his owner, Luna. She is a 22nd century poet and artist who lives a lavish life. She throws extravagant parties every week and owns everything she wants in life. Miles sees the news about an ancient alien escaping from the lab and figures out they are talking about him. Luna doesn't really like his face and decides to get it exchanged next week. For now, he is asked to cook a meal for her guests, who will be here any minute. Back in 1973, Miles was a decent cook, but the new ingredients of the future confuse him. He creates a brown explosion of pudding that keeps on spreading on its own. He also receives the overcoats from the guest and accidentally burns them in the debris disposal pod. While the guests enjoy themselves, the pudding grows in size and has to be beaten to death to be stopped. Then, Luna presents everyone with a silver ball, which is a new way of getting high. Touching the ball is like taking recreational pills. Miles is asked to pass the ball to everyone, which in turn causes him to get high. Eventually, he starts fighting for the ball and hugging a guest, but since no one is in their right mind, they do not think much of it. Luna and one of her guests get into the Orgasmatron, a device that is used to get intimate without having to do all the work. They come out a few seconds later, more relaxed than ever. A week later, Luna takes Miles to the nearest robot repair center to get his head exchanged with a prettier one. A nervous Miles is placed on a platform and is seconds away from being killed. Eventually, he gives up the act and runs away, revealing that he is the wanted alien. The guards immediately follow him, but he gets away from them. Knowing that he cannot survive the outside world on his own, he asks Luna for help, but she refuses to listen to him. When she tries alerting the guards, he reluctantly has to abduct her. In the following scene, Luna is tied to a tree in the middle of the woods. Miles takes off her gag, but no matter how loud she screams, no one is coming to save her. Miles explains to her that he is not a criminal, and everything that happened was out of his control. He desperately needs to meet the people of the Underground, who Luna thinks are criminals. She still doesn't support him and is eager to run away. A while later, she gets hungry and demands Miles get food for her. He goes looking for it on a farm where human-sized food and vegetables are grown. Strangely, they are also used to generate power. After struggling to pick the massive strawberry for a while, he returns to Luna with a piece of celery and a giant banana. At night, Luna calms down after having a bite of the massive celery. She is accustomed to enjoying lavish commodities and doesn't see the fault in the government. She pretends to be on Miles's side, but plans to call the police the first chance she gets. The following day, they take shelter in a stranger's house, pretending that their car broke down. Luna goes to the bathroom and calls the police, who ask her to stall the alien until they get there. Luna makes Miles wear a spacewalk suit and blows it so he cannot move. When the police arrive, they arrest Luna first, claiming that she has been infected by the alien. She realizes that the government rules are a joke and decides to help Miles. The couple jumps into the river and deflates the spacesuit that helps them escape. Eventually, they end up in a cave that holds an ancient Volkswagen that still works. Using the vehicle, they drive to the west to meet the underground. On the way, the two talk about their childhoods and bond with each other. On reaching the destination, they dump the car into a lake before making their way to an abandoned house. At night, they talk about the vast change in the way people make love in the past and the present. Luna suggests they get inside the Orgasmatron, but Miles is a fan of more traditional methods. Before they agree on what they should do next, the guards arrive and arrest Miles. Luna saves herself by hiding inside a secret compartment in the wall. Miles is taken to a reassimilation lab where his memory will be erased to turn him into an obedient citizen of the regular modern society.
Vaping can deliver toxic metals like nickel and lead into your lungs. That's metal in your lungs.
The process of brainwashing begins by making him think he is Miss USA 2173. He is made to go against a bunch of models and is also given a crowning ceremony. After that, his sense of identity is slowly stolen by making him go through several tests. By the end of the week, he turns into a complete modern man who could die and kill to protect the government's ideologies. Meanwhile, Luna has been living in the wild for the past week. She hunts and gathers nuts for food, something she wouldn't have dreamt of doing in her former way of life. One day, while wandering through the woods, a man kidnaps her. He is the leader of the rebellious group named Erno. He brings her to his camp, where several rebels like him are plotting ways to dethrone the current dictator. With them, Luna learns a lot about survival and the drawbacks of the government. One day, Miles walks into his room to see Luna waiting for him. She has come to rescue him, but Miles doesn't remember her at all. Alongside her, the people of the underground have also hidden in the room. They forcefully abduct him and bring him to the underground camp. Erno thinks there is still a way to bring Miles back to his normal self by making him relive his trauma. For that, they act like people from the 19th century to make him remember his childhood. But even after reciting an entire script of what a typical family would say in the 90s, Miles doesn't remember anything. Suddenly, he falls unconscious and stays like that for a few days. When he finally wakes up, he is back to his normal self. Luna tells him how wonderful Erno and his people have been to her, which makes Miles jealous. To distract her from the leader, Miles suggests they quickly attack the dictator and fulfill their purpose. They pose as doctors of the National Lab and sneak into the building. The duo is extremely nervous, which causes frequent arguments between them, but they somehow manage to stay unnoticed. Miles puts his life in danger to steal 2 lab coats while dangling from a window. The main group of scientists believes Miles is the special doctor who has been recently appointed to the facility for a specific task. They are taken to a room where they are told what their job is. It turns out that 1 year ago, the dictator died in an explosion caused by protesters. The only part of him that survived was his nose. Since bioengineering has developed exponentially over the years, they plan to create an entire human out of the nose, using its cells. The doctors believe Miles is the man hired to do the job. This makes the task easier for the duo because they no longer have to kill the dictator and only have to destroy the nose. The two sneak into the lab, but find out they are being watched by the other doctors, waiting to see the miracle happen. Miles and Luna know nothing about cells and start bluffing nonsense. The others soon realize they are trying to steal the nose and chase them, but before getting caught, Miles takes the nose hostage and runs away. Outside, he throws it under a bulldozer, ending the dictator's life once and for all. In the end, Miles and Luna are together, ready to return to the camp. Luna thinks Erno will be a great political leader, but Miles doesn't feel the same. At this rate, they will be stealing Erno's nose next month, because all political leaders are horrible. He asks Luna to forget about this and focus on him. The movie ends as the two share a kiss. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.
It started when brain fog nearly got me killed up here at 9,000 feet. So if you're over 40, 50, or 60 years